is having on the headlines this morning on the dailies. And as usual, we're going to start off with the Standard, where we have the headlines as Raila, I am ready to die for oath. And that is, of course, to do with the oath or swearing-in ceremony that NASA have maintained was going to take place during Jamhuri Day. Then it was postponed and a new date has not been given. But during the funeral service yesterday of the late Honorable Nyenze, he, made it clear that he's still going ahead and plans are in place to carry on with the swearing-in ceremony. So that's what's on the headline. Raila, I am ready to die for the oath. And on the Nation, it's a similar or to do with the same story, where we have the headline, Your Legacy at Stake. America tells Raila. And according to this article, top Donald Trump diplomat says Washington is worried that the NASA leader is erasing the trust and reform footprint he had built over the years by insisting on being sworn in. But Odinga, speaking in Kitui, says nothing can change his resolve now. So that's basically what we have on the headlines, and that's to do with the swearing-in ceremony of Raila Amolo Odinga as the people's president. And, details yet to be given by NASA as how and when this is going to be done and what that exactly means. And, details are found in this particular story if you get yourself a copy of either the Nation or the Standard. But let's go back to the Standard, where on the front page we also have a story here, 95 pupils arrested in Mombasa Madrasa. And this is according to, some sources that it was to do with crime. Armed police stormed Islamic school in crackdown on alleged international child trafficking at the coast. So that's another interesting story that is on the front page, but you'll get details as you go through it. You also have a story on page 3 of the Standard this morning. Girl under witness protection disappears from safe house. Now, this would be worrying. A 14-year-old girl was scheduled to testify against a police officer who allegedly defiled her. But she had been kept in a safe house and safe custody, but she has disappeared. So the 14-year-old girl was placed under protective care and custody by a court. And this is because she had crucial information that possibly would find an officer or to testify. Let me just say to testify against an officer who is accused of defiling her, but she has disappeared. So one, of course, would be left wondering how safe is that safe house. And that's a story that's on page 3. On page 4, we have Matiang'i targeting SACCOs, driving schools to check road accidents. Yesterday, we had the CSs for transport and Dr. Matiang'i, who is also holding brief for interior security, come out to give some rules and regulations and stern warnings to drivers and owners of SACCOs and matatus and PSVs, especially over the festive season. One of the suggestions or recommendations that Dr. Matiang'i was giving yesterday was that of revoking all driving school licenses or their ability to operate and having them re-evaluated to see whether they actually qualify. And one would hope that that would help us deal with the road carnage. But of course, the other question that many might ask is what difference will it make given that you have the same people running them, the same people who have short-circuited the system and so far have not done what is required, because the rules are there, the regulations are there, but somehow we seem not to follow them. So would it make a difference if you revoke all their licenses, go through the whole system again, but yet you still have the same people running the same organizations? Because chances are you'll just create another opportunity for people to make illegal money through bribes. But there you go. Of course, the CS is doing all that they can within their power to ensure that the roads remain safe. One of the other things that came out of this particular press briefing was the fact that they were blaming the judiciary for delaying and putting back some rogue drivers on the road through court procedures. And of course, that's an accusation that has come from different quarters when it comes to the courts. Remember, the president even is on record at one time saying that the judiciary, excuse me, is frustrating the fight of corruption. And this is to do with the fact that sometimes legal procedures take very long, and you find those who are accused possibly finding themselves back in circulation as they use the court to their advantage. So there you go. There's an article to do with that. And of course, road safety is our main topic today, and we'll also be looking from the media perspective. What is it that we can do? What more can we do to ensure that our roads become safe? What can we add to what we've already done as the media to ensure that our roads in Kenya are safer? Let's look at page 7 of the Standard. And this is international relations. And today we are also going to be hosting an ambassador right here in the studio. I'll give you details as we carry on. But this is to do with international relations on page 7 of the newspaper. Of the Standard, to be specific. Kenya woos Uganda to back SGR extension to Kisumu Port. Remember, not too long ago, we had Uganda almost suggesting that they were going to have the SGR, or the train service that helps them or services them, go via Tanzania. But there seems to have been negotiations that may have averted that, and it may be going through Kenya. But get yourself a copy of the Standard, and you'll get details of what those negotiations were between President Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and the President of Uganda, and that is Kaguta Museveni. All right, so that's basically what we have in the Standard. There's a lot more in the Standard, but there you go. There's also the cartoon on page 14, which is basically highlighting the situation in South Africa. And this is now to do with a new ANC president. That is Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the new ANC president. And this was after he beat Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma to it. And there's a cartoon there basically describing what may have happened. And that is Dlamini Zuma basically on Zuma's back, her husband's back. And well, the story speaks, or rather the cartoon speaks for itself. That's what we have for you on the Standard. Let's look at the Daily Nation. We already looked at the headline, and the headline is "Your Legacy at Stake." That is America to Raila, as he continues and insists that nothing is going to avert his swearing-in ceremony. So that's basically what we have on the headline, but you do get yourself a copy. That also highlights the funeral service that was held yesterday of the late Honorable Nyenze. Bad drivers to lose licenses in new plan to end accidents. Again, this is the press briefing that was given by Dr. Matiang'i yesterday, and James Macharia, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Transport and Infrastructure, and this was to do with road carnage, which of course is at an all-time high, and we must do something to bring it down. So there's that story on page 2 as well. Let's look at page 3, where we have 50 million reward awaits stars if they qualify for Nations Cup. This was after they met the Deputy President yesterday. Remember, they won on Sunday, I believe it was, and now they, well, went to have breakfast with the Deputy President, and he made a pledge to them that they could be smiling all the way to the bank, 50 million shillings richer, if they indeed make it to the finals of the Nations Cup. And that's a story that you can get there. We also have Kenya and Uganda to collaborate on the SGR. That's the same story that we looked at on the Standard. NASA tests PIC poll as parties decry betrayal. Again, looking at matters politics, and will more House seats than Wiper, ANC and Ford Kenya combined. Orange Party gloats of feeling of entitlement. So there are political pundits who say there may be cracks that are emerging in the NASA faction, and more specifically because Wiper feels shortchanged. It's like they're getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the parliamentary committee nominations and those who make it. And I think some of the NASA leaders are on record as saying they could not make it because of cartels. So of course the question would be, which cartels are those? But there you go. Matters politics. Finally, South Africa again featuring on the cartoon on page 14 of the Nation, and this again is to do with the elections that took place for ANC, and we do know that Ramaphosa is the ANC president now, who beat Zuma's wife, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, and that could also be projecting or highlighting who the next president for the South African nation is bound to be. Remember, ANC has been under a lot of fire and criticism because of corruption and the helm of Jacob Zuma, and they seemingly have lost a lot of following over the last few years. But, well, let's wait and see how that pans out. So, finally, looking at the headline of the Star, and it's to do with matters politics, NASA fallout as partners cry foul over ODM tyranny. Again, that same story where some within NASA, according to this article, feel shortchanged by virtue of the fact that ODM apparently has a feeling of entitlement, and it is shown through the numbers and the nominations that they're making for the parliamentary committees, and some of the parties within the coalition feeling left out, and specifically Wiper Party. So let's wait and see how that goes out. That's what we have for you on the dailies this morning. For now, we take a short break, but do stay with us. We've got more stories making headlines coming up right here on Morning Express. And also remember to let us know what you think and feel that we in the media can do to ensure that we bring more awareness and reduce road carnage, okay? It's now 8 minutes to 7. We take a break. We'll be right back.